Alrighty, huge news out of Ware County, Georgia, as Dominion machines there have been found to weight the election in favor of Joe Biden. They actually ran a test on this Ware County machine and they fed ballots into it, and it was weighted in a manner that allowed Joe Biden to come out 22% ahead of Donald Trump. They would feed ballots into the machine, and essentially, if you voted for Biden, your vote was worth about 1.2, where if you voted for Trump, it was worth about 0.8. And they did this, they ran the test, and election officials in Ware County have confirmed that this did indeed happen. So it's pretty hard to understand why this was not allowed to be brought into the Senate hearing. A Voter GA co-founder by the name of Garland Favorito, he swore in an affidavit last month with the Secretary of State's office, and yet not much has been done. He concluded from looking at the results that there were problems, and there was no reason that President Trump's totals should have decreased while Biden's actually increased. And so that's really strange.
He revealed the Trump team has actually obtained a Dominion voting machine in Georgia. An examination of the voting data from this machine, which came from a very small county in Georgia, showed only that there were 37 Trump ballots were automatically converted to Biden ballots. Now, this may not seem like a high number, but this machine's sample of ballots represents just 0.26% of the votes cast in Georgia. Now, if we do a simple calculation based on this percentage, we get that at least 14,000 Trump votes were flipped to Biden statewide. And that's a conservative estimate. And when Georgia announced the certified election results, the official numbers showed that Biden only led Trump by about 12,000 votes.
So anyway, it was as early as last week that election officials in Ware County did confirm this, that they found these votes switched from President Trump to Biden when they entered equal numbers of ballots for each candidate into these Dominion voting machines. Now, this should be very interesting because of the 22 machines that were sequestered up in Michigan. We should get to see whether this is common among all Dominion machines, or whether this was a Ware County thing, or whether Dominion set the machines up differently in different areas. And so that should prove to be very interesting. And it's just huge news, and I don't understand why we're not seeing that reported on anywhere else.
Yeah, well, the big news coming out of Antrim County, Michigan this morning, Pete, is that a judge actually granted our team access to 22 of the Dominion voting machines for us to conduct a forensic audit. So if you remember, this is the county that had the switch of 6,000 votes from President Trump to Joe Biden, and that was an unexplained and so-called glitch. And so our team is going to be able to go in this morning at about 8:30, and we'll be there for about 8 hours to conduct that forensic examination, and we'll have the results in about 48 hours, and that'll tell us a lot about these machines.
GoPro stuff.
We're in a situation where we have put together, and you guys did it for our the President Obama's administration before this. We have put together, I think, the most extensive and inclusive voter fraud organization in the history of American politics. We have put together, I think, the most extensive and inclusive voter fraud organization in the history of American politics.
The president's team alleges Fulton County election officials lied to Republican poll watchers and the media to get them to leave State Farm Arena while votes were being counted on November 3rd. We can confirm our own crew was there that night and was told workers were done counting for the night and would resume the next morning. However, counting continued into the early morning hours.
So we have a very interesting story out of Arizona today. In Forbes, there was an article talking about an FBI raid on the Maricopa County residence to receive evidence of cyber intrusion into voting systems. So what they've done is the FBI raided a home, and they took out of this home a lot of hardware. So reportedly, the agents were looking for evidence of a cyber attack on an unnamed organization and stole their voter data. So they left the residence with 8 hard drives, 3 computers, and a bag of USB sticks. The guy that lived there was a 56-year-old IT expert named Elliot Kerwin, and he was the one that was served the warrant. He's not yet facing charges. So the FBI has all of this stuff about the election, and they took it apparently on November the 5th. So that's quite a while back, and that leaves me with some concerns about whether or not the FBI is the good guys or the bad guys. Are they going to hide evidence? Are they going to bring forth evidence? Given their track record over the last few years, I don't trust them very far at all. As Sundays go, this was a very big news day. We had the 22 Dominion machines in Michigan taken, and they're going to be inspected, and we're going to have some answers on those soon. And if they're anything like the machine that they got out of Georgia, that's really good news for the Trump team. We also had the FBI raid in Maricopa County, and that looks like that could be a fairly big story if the FBI were to tell the truth. In addition to that, you have the election official in Georgia that basically confirmed that this Dominion machine did indeed switch votes from Biden to Trump, or if it didn't, it was operating under a weighted system where one candidate gets more than one vote. They'll get 1.2 votes maybe. And so that makes for a very interesting story, and the news cycle is pretty Trump favorable today for sure. And so I hope you guys have a great day. I will talk to you in a while.